Yes, it's true. You can save upwards to over $169,000 in taxes over the course of your life if you play your cards right using an HSA or health savings account. And today I'm going to show you just how I plan to do this and how you can do the same. Hi, I'm Austin. I'm an accountant and personal finance nerd. And as we get into today's topic, make sure to like the video if you learned something new and subscribe if you're up for learning more. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, Austin, what is an HSA and why should I care? And how does this save me all the monies? Wait, no, I wasn't thinking of any of those things actually. Well, you are now because I just mentioned those questions, so now they're kind of in your head, right? Yeah, I guess you're right. I am kind of thinking those things now. Dang it. Cool. Well, now that you're wondering those things, we'll talk about what HSAs are, who can actually qualify for one, and how they work so you'll know how to maximize the benefits, and we'll even go over the numbers on how you can save yourself over $169,000 using these accounts. And as a bonus, I'll be sharing a free tool I've built to help you see just how much you can save with an HSA. So with that, let's dive in. So what is an HSA or health savings account? Is it like some sort of game where you get to buy points for your character to boost your health and extend your life? Although that would be nice, that's not quite what it is. It's a special savings account designed for you to put tax-free money aside as an investment to cover any of your medical related expenses. For years, the government recognized the ever-increasing cost of medical expenses faced by the public, and in 2004, these accounts became available to taxpayers as a means to save more for their expenses by paying less in taxes while also becoming another potential retirement account. What's great about this account is that the money placed in your HSA is yours to keep. It doesn't matter if you change jobs, change health insurance plans, or retire, the money stays with you, whether it's through your own contributions or the contributions of your employer, since they also have the option to contribute to your HSA. For 2023, the contribution limits are $3,850 for individuals and $7,750 for families. And going into 2024, the limits will jump up to $4,150 and $8,300. On top of this, there's also a catch-up contribution of an extra $1,000 for anyone who is 55 years and older. One of the main perks that make the HSA such a popular choice among investors is its triple tax advantage features that it offers. This means that money contributed to this account is tax-free, the growth of the account is tax-free, and the withdrawals when used for qualifying medical expenses is also tax-free. But what does tax-free actually mean? Let's look at an example. Let's say you have a family and decide to contribute the maximum amount of $7,750 to your HSA this year. Normally, you would have to pay 3 different types of taxes on this money you earn. This would be federal income tax, state income tax, and FICA taxes, which are Social Security and Medicare taxes. These 3 taxes can easily add up to about 33% of every paycheck you make, meaning that you would normally pay $2,557 in total taxes on this amount, leaving you with just over $5,000 after taxes. However, when you take the $7,750 and place it into an HSA, it essentially becomes invisible to the government and those taxes no longer apply, allowing you to keep that extra $2,500. From there, you can invest the money in your HSA into things like mutual funds, and as your account grows and you withdraw money for medical expenses, you still won't pay any taxes. A good way to think of this is smashing together the benefits of a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, giving you the best of both worlds when it comes to tax savings. See, with a traditional IRA, you receive a tax deduction upfront on your contributions, but you're still taxed later when you withdraw money in retirement. And with a Roth IRA, the opposite is true. You receive no tax benefit when you contribute, but the growth and the withdrawals are tax-free. In contrast, the HSA can truly be a completely tax-free account from beginning to end when used correctly. So these accounts sound great, right? But who can actually qualify for an HSA? For starters, you must be enrolled in a high deductible health plan or ADHP, either through your employer or yourself if you're self-employed. Additionally, there are also a list of things you can't have in order to qualify, so we'll quickly go through these. You can't be covered under any other medical plan, such as a spouse's plan. You can't be enrolled in Medicare or TRICARE. You can't be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, and you can't have any disqualifying alternative medical savings account like a flexible spending account or FSA or health reimbursement account. If you can check all of these boxes, then congrats. You qualify for an HSA and you can get an account set up today either through your employer if they already have a provider selected, or you can choose a provider you like if they don't have one selected. In choosing one on your own, some popular providers you can look into that can host your HSA are Fidelity, Health Equity, and Life lively. If you don't currently qualify and you would like to get an HSA, make sure to check with your employer to see if they offer an HSA eligible health plan and what you can do to qualify and enroll in the future. Now, let's get into how these accounts actually work. How do you use your HSA today, and how can you really maximize the benefits of this account further into the future? Like we mentioned earlier, the primary use of an HSA is to help cover your medical expenses, and easily enough, the funds in your account can usually be accessed on a debit card you can use when making qualifying purchases. So this raises the question, what is actually considered a qualified medical expense? Surprisingly, there are a lot of things that qualify, and many of them are things you might not expect. A great resource you can use to make qualifying purchases is hsastore.com. This website has over 2,500 products that are guaranteed to be HSA eligible, and there's even a section called Surprisingly Eligible that has things like massage guns and foam rollers to baby monitors and recovery jet boots. Even something as simple as sunscreen can be HSA eligible. And since everything you could use your HSA for, like doctor's visits, prescriptions, and treatments, are available through the HSA store, you can go to their eligibility page for a more comprehensive list of what is and isn't eligible to use your HSA for. Using your account for qualifying expenses as they pop up is great, as you're able to use that money that you didn't have to pay any taxes on, and this by itself allows you to benefit from the thousands of dollars of savings we mentioned earlier. But let's talk about a strategy that I'm planning to implement that can really supercharge your HSA for the future and save you over $169,000 in taxes. The strategy is simply this: don't use your HSA at all right now and reimburse yourself for medical expenses later in life. Now, that probably sounds super counterintuitive because we just talked about how an HSA's purpose is to help cover the cost of medical expenses you have. But here's how this works. If you are able to cover the costs of your medical expenses now with personal funds outside of your HSA and hold on to those receipts, the government actually allows you to reimburse yourself later with your HSA, and there is no limit on how long you can wait to reimburse yourself. So if you had a doctor's visit today that cost you $500, you could reimburse yourself for that amount 40 years from now if you wanted, using your HSA. This allows you to still ultimately have your medical expenses covered by your HSA while also allowing the balance in your account to stay invested and grow over time. So let's go over the numbers for all of this. I've pulled up a Google spreadsheet that I've built and put together that will help you calculate your tax savings with HSAs, as well as a few other items. If you want to have your own copy of this worksheet, just follow the link that's down in the description that will open this Google Sheet for you. From here, you'll notice that you aren't able to edit any of the fields, and so in order to make your own copy where you can edit, just select File on the top left, make a copy, name the folder whatever you would like for your own purposes, and then select Make a Copy down here, and from there you can follow along with this video. And first, looking at this workbook, it may look really confusing, but we'll go step by step through each of the numbers that you'll put in and what to look for in the numbers that are coming out of it. A couple of preliminary things to keep in mind is that anything that's highlighted in yellow is what you'll actually put in from your own information, and anything that's in green is what's going to be generated from what you put up in this area. So you actually won't need to touch anything down here. And if there's something that we've forgotten to cover here, there's a little bit more information on each of these fields to help give you a little bit more direction as far as what needs to go in these boxes, as well as what some of these outputs mean at the bottom. So I'll be walking through my personal scenario and plan with an HSA, and you can enter your information as we go along. So the first amount that we'll put in is how much we actually plan to contribute to our HSA. Like we mentioned before, the limits are $3,850 for singles and $7,750 for those who are married. So I'm planning to maximize my retirement savings and my HSA savings, and so I'm going to put the full amount for this year, and in future years that will probably increase as well. Then we're going to make an estimate on what we think our medical expenses will be from year to year, and of course some years are going to be lower and some are going to be higher because medical expenses can be really unpredictable sometimes, but I'm going to assume that on average I'm going to be spending about $2,000 in qualified medical expenses each year. This next field down below it is related to your medical expenses, but it's basically asking how much of your medical expenses do you want to have covered by your HSA. So if I wanted to do the full amount and use my HSA now, I could enter $2,000, but since I'm planning to not use any of my HSA now and just pay for everything out of pocket and reimburse myself later, I'm going to enter $0 in this area. The next three fields that you'll enter are in relation to your personal tax brackets. So this might take a little bit of research on your part to know what tax brackets you're in between your federal, your state, and your FICA taxes. For me, I know that my federal tax bracket currently is 22%, my state tax bracket is 4.85%, and FICA taxes are 7.65%. Now, FICA taxes are usually going to be the same for everybody unless you make a higher income. So there is a note here that if you make over $160,000, you may want to look into this, as that amount might be a little bit different. The second to last field is going to be my assumed rate of return, because with an HSA, you can invest your money. All of my HSA funds are invested in different mutual funds. And so my guess is that I can expect to receive about a 7% rate of return over the years that I have my HSA invested. You may want to go with a higher or lower assumption, but I feel like 7% is fairly conservative and not too aggressive. And the last field that I'm going to enter in here is how many years I expect to invest in my HSA and allow it to grow. So for my purposes, I'm going to enter 25 years. And of course, this can be shorter or longer depending on your personal goals. Once we filled out all of these fields up here, we can see that there's been numbers calculated down here that tell us exactly what the HSA is able to do for us as far as tax savings and a few other items as well. So let's go over that real quick. So down here, it looks like by contributing the maximum amount to my HSA, I'm able to save $2,600 in taxes in the current year. And over the course of 25 years on my contributions, I'll save over $66,000 that I'm not going to be paying in taxes up front. Additionally, because my HSA was invested that whole time and it grew the whole time, I'm also not going to pay any taxes on the growth of the account. So this next field down here is calculated how much I've had in tax savings on the growth of the account, which is over $100,000 over that 25-year period. And as an additional bonus, because I didn't use any of my HSA funds to cover my medical expenses and I chose to pay for them out of pocket, as long as I've kept all of my receipts over the years, then I will have spent about $50,000 in medical expenses that I can then be reimbursed for myself. And something that's nice about this is that since it's a reimbursement, you're able to take out the funds and do whatever you want with it. Buy a boat, buy a house, go travel, you can just have fun with this. So according to this, as long as I stick to this plan, I don't use my HSA out of pocket, I keep it invested, and I contribute the max amount every year, my tax benefit over the year will be $169,112. And at the end of the 25-year period, my HSA balance will be $490,000. Now, you may not need $500,000 to cover all of your medical expenses in retirement. So something I didn't mention earlier is that after the age of 65, if you don't use your HSA for medical expenses, you can actually use it for whatever you want. But at that point, it's treated more like a traditional IRA, where you will be taxed on the withdrawals of the account because it's not used for its initial intended purpose for medical expenses. But after that point, if you know you're not going to spend all of it on medical expenses, feel free to use it for something else, but just know that it'll be taxed. Now, of course, I've entered everything in this spreadsheet according to my situation, but your situation is going to be different. So let me know what questions you have about using this spreadsheet, as well as any additional features you would like included in here to help you better understand the HSA, as well as how it can help you with your financial planning. Now, the purpose of all of this isn't to say that everyone should have an HSA, because there are many reasons why having one of these accounts may not be the best option for someone. For example, if you and your family are accident prone or have someone who has a pre-existing medical condition that is costly to treat, then it may be more cost effective to go with a traditional plan that can better help cover these costs rather than an HSA eligible plan. So make sure to look at more than just the tax savings when looking into an HSA, and let me know what other questions you have about HSAs and other financial factors to consider when choosing between health plans. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and if you learned something new, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want to learn more. And until next time, stay happy, stay humble, and take care.